That's right. We're saying it up front, like Rosie, you're a winner, baby. Because yeah, I think that's kind of like uh, where we're at now. Definitely thinking about who are those people that like inspired us to speak up, inspired us to be ourselves, inspired us to be goofy, inspired us to be weird, inspired us to love the things that we love, like fandom. Like Rosie is the biggest fangirl in the world, and I think she taught us that if we love something, tell them.
The best way to go about when we explore these icons, these legends, is to start back at the beginning. And for me, um, her movie careers and her talk show kind of just blend. And really, to me, like the Rosie O'Donnell talk show is the first thing that I remember. Not saying that it was the first thing that happened. I know she had lots of movies and was doing stuff and was stand up, but like Rosie O'Donnell's talk show was a big thing in my house. My mom is a big, or was? I don't know. At one point in time, my mom was a very big Rosie O'Donnell fan and would watch it regularly. And the koosh balls and the Tom Cruise being a cutie patootie. Um, that was a thing that Rosie O'Donnell would say. And just the other day, I was texting John Paul, and I haven't had this conversation with my mom, and maybe I should. Maybe that'd be an interesting follow up piece. Like, but I think that when Rosie came out of the closet, my mom felt like this disconnect and this isolation because my mom is butcher than me, guys. Like, I don't know how to explain it. She's just that's just how she is, and I don't mean that as a thing. She would call herself a tomboy, has been all of her life, but she is incredibly straight. And so I think she saw this kinship with Rosie of this being loud and out there and not hyper feminine person on TV, and then um I think she felt alone all of a sudden, and I don't
Oh
know
my
if
gosh, yeah, yeah.
other women who are masculine but straight feel that way. I'd love to that's a side topic, but
Oh no, I
um
think just looking back on Rosie, she was that everyday woman. I think what people appreciated about her, and that's really just like kind of evident in her career. That's kind of how she was just always treated as just like, there's Rosie.
mhm,
But I could definitely, I think your mom's awesome, and I can definitely see that. Especially even the disconnect, because you talk about that
mhm,
there was a solidarity with Rosie, but then maybe she did feel betrayed somehow. And just like
mhm.
knowing your mom in high school, and just learning you're coming out, like that dissonance makes a little sense because I think it was just like, well, sometimes girls can be whatever they want to be.
I know. I think that's so hard for my mom to still wrap her head around. I think this is another weird personal anecdote, but she once asked me, like, in my relationship with my wife when we were still dating, like which one of us wears the pants kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she like realized that like the way that she said it was offensive, so she backpedaled and she's like, but who do you think wears the pants in this house? Because it's not your father. And I was just like, I love you, mom. Like,
It's true though, and I think
yeah.
we talk about what it means for parents to love their gay kids, and I think it's to also not be afraid to like sound awkward and weird, like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna like mess this up in front of you. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, does that make you uncomfortable? I'm uncomfortable. So
Yeah,
I think you gotta laugh through it, and that's what Rosie taught us.
absolutely.
For me, the Rosie show, that was kind of just like uh, that was very again middle school. Take me back to this like sixth grade era,
Hmm.
where like the world started to get a little more scary, And I think
Hmm.
for me, if you want to get into Rosie's early career, that's Betty Rubble. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's and this I remember when like her show was started, my dad would be like, "Hey, Joe Paul, Betty Rubble's on TV."
I
Like
loved that.
like that's and I was just like, and so for me it was like, "Oh, Betty Rubble's on TV." And because yeah, I was a cartoon kid, and so when they made the Flintstones cartoon, like I remember thinking like, this is yeah, okay, Dad, I love Flintstones. Just because it's like the older cartoon, like it's kind of like The Simpsons, where I'm just like, oh, I get kids of The Simpsons now, where it's like, okay, yeah, we get it, Homer's great. For me, it was very much, yeah, I get it, the Flintstones are great, but then
Hmm.
there was always Betty Rubble though. Like I'm like, actually, Betty
Hmm.
Rubble is cunt. So since I was a kid, like yeah, Betty Rubble, fashion icon.
Mm.
And then she got on TV, and she was yeah. So
Hmm.
I can
And
I can keep
that,
going.
yeah,
Yeah.
that performance is amazing for sure. I think it's I think Rosie was like, "This is a caricature. We are doing it up. We are leaning full. We're doing it all the way." Like, I don't think there's a that to me is the role where I see the least of her real life, her real self, as opposed to a league of her own, a league of their own, right? A league of their own is Rosie. It is
Oh yeah,
Rosie
yeah, yeah.
playing softball. We will talk more about that in a minute. I think we need to go back and unpack a little bit more of the talk show. It was different, right? It was kind of a game changer, or at least that's what the internet is telling you. I have no conscious memory of this, but a lot of the talk shows, even Oprah at the time, was were leaning more towards like a Sally Jesse Raphael, Jerry Springer, um, not so much like a celeb interview, have fun and talk to people. It was all like, let's see if we can get people to, reveal their secrets and the audience react. And Rosie was like, no, like we're going to have Broadway shows perform for 10 minutes and we're going to have fun. And like it.
Absolutely. And so what I love about having these conversations because it takes me really back into the moment. Because I think right now we have the historical perspective. We can be like, oh, this is how it shook out. But I'm like, everyone forgets that we're actually navigating these things. And so, yes, I remember like being a kid in the early '90s. Daytime television was like awful. I remember thinking like, this is bad. I shouldn't be watching this. Why? I can like. We would go to my sister's room because she had a TV. She was a teenager, and so we watched Jerry Springer. And I'm like, I am 7. What is this weird stuff? Like, and so I've just always been like, kind of like an aware kid, a sensitive kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember being like, I'm just watching this for research. This is not how I should behave. And so I really like, but not everyone thinks that, And I think, Rosie, I think she kind of saw that to her like, well, actually, if we just put whatever we want in front of people, they're going to just reflect that. They're going to model that. And she said, not me. And so, like, yeah, definitely, like, the respect that I have for her, like, even just in doing this, like, minor research has, like, grown exponentially. So, thank you, Rosie, for being, like, a reprieve from just, like, some darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes back to, and you will see this theme through the entire podcast. Rosie is who she is, right? That is, she might not be able to be entirely open about who she is, but she's also not lying about who she is in every other facet. She's a fan of Broadway. She wants to have fun. She wants to throw poosh balls, and she thinks Tom Cruise is a cutie patootie. Like, what a cute cover up crush. Like, that is my favorite.
Oh, it makes so much sense.
Cutie patootie. Yeah, he is. He's a little cutie patootie, and he's classically handsome. And if I'm gonna, I've been there. Mine was Freddie Prinze Jr. Like,
yeah,
he's a little cutie patootie. He's classically handsome. It works. Like,
well, and so we'll get, I think Rosie, she's a world icon, because we'll get into this fact with like, thinking about her relationship to Trump. Not to go there already, but that just reminded me where it's just like, because Rosie is that, she's that everyday person. She's that girl next door. She is the girl next door, but she's on that global stage now. And so I think that's why we can look at, why Trump hates her so much is because she's just that girl next door that's just like, I'm not falling for your shit, kid. And like he can't stand that. And so I think the more I think about like, oh my god, Rosie, you are this beacon of, this other side to things where it's just like, no, I see it too. And yeah, Tom Cruise is cute and Donald Trump is evil. Define that as you will. That's the other thing. We're just, I think Rosie wants us to talk about these things. It's not like, she's out here. Well, I mean, we'll get into it. Like,
right. Well,
I think there's just so much to Rosie being aware of just how impactful her words are.
Right. Well, and I think too, a lot of her talk shows, she was able to just sift through the politics and focus on things that she loved and promoting things that she loved and having musicals and guests that she loved. And then the first time that a, nationwide shaking of tragedy occurred with Columbine, she couldn't she couldn't just be the queen of nice. She had to get it out there. And that's when that the week after Columbine, she has Tom Selleck on her show, who is the spokesperson at the time for NRA. He literally is in ads with his face on them saying, like, yeah, guns. I mean, I don't know. Okay, I haven't actually looked up the Tom Selleck ads, but he comes on the show thinking he's just going to talk about this romantic comedy, and Rosie is like, I've got a chance, I've got a platform, I'm going to ask you how you feel directly. Yeah, actually,
okay, so like,
how do I share sound? Click. Okay. Yep. All right. So here is that Tom Selleck interview.
Against the NRA is because the NRA has such a militant strength, especially a power in Washington, to veto or to stronghold any sensible gun law. They have been against every sensible gun law until yesterday, including trigger locks, so that children, which there are 500 a year that die, don't get killed.
I'm not a spokesman for the NRA. In fact, all I can tell you is I was a member when I was a kid. I was a junior NRA member. I learned firearm safety. And from what I see in the last 3 months, they don't do a lot of the stuff that you assume they do.
Well,
they are for trigger locks. They're for a lot of things, as long as they're voluntary.
Well, they're against the registering of guns. We have to register cars. Why shouldn't we register guns so that when a crime is committed, we can trace who has owned it?
You know, I understand how you feel. This is a really contentious issue, probably as contentious and potentially as troubling as the abortion issue in this country. All I can tell you is it rushes to pass legislation at a time of national crisis or mourning. I don't really think are proper. And more importantly, nothing in any of this legislation would have done anything to prevent that awful tragedy in Littleton. What I see in the work I've done with kids is a troubling direction in our culture, and where I see consensus, which is what I think we ought to concentrate on in our culture, is, look, nobody argues anymore whether they're conservatives or liberal, whether our society is going in the wrong direction. They may argue trying to quantify how far it's gone wrong or why it's gone that far wrong, whether it's guns or television or the internet or whatever. But there's consensus saying, look, something's happened. Guns were much more accessible 40 years ago. A kid could walk into a pawn shop or a hardware store and buy a high-capacity magazine weapon that could kill a lot of people, and they didn't do it. The question we ought to be asking is, look, suicide is a tragedy. And it's a horrible thing.
The 70s were crazy.
Years ago, particularly
just ARs, 15s hanging off of the walls.
They went and unfortunately blew their brains out. In today's world, someone who is suicidal sits home, nurses their grievance, develops a rage, and is just as suicidal, but they take 20 people with them. There's something changed in our culture. That's not a simple...
But you can't say that guns don't bear a responsibility. If the makers of the Tech-9 assault rifle, why would the NRA be against assault rifles? This is a gun that can shoot 5 bullets in a second. This is the gun that those boys brought into the school. Why the NRA wouldn't say, as a matter of compromise, we agree, assault rifles are not good.
I can't speak
for them, Rosie.
You're their spokesperson, Tom, so you have to be responsible for what they say.
I'm not a spokesperson.
But if you put your name out and say,
don't put words in my mouth. I'm not a spokesperson. Remember how calm you said you'd be? Now you're questioning my humanity.
No, not your humanity. I think you're a very humane man.
Okay,
I'm saying that if you say
I disagree with you, but I think you're being
But you can't say that I will not take responsibility for anything the NRA represents if you're saying that you're going to do an ad for the NRA. You can't say that. Do you think you can?
There's you know, you're carefully skirting the issue. It's an act of moral vanity, Rosie, to assume that someone who disagrees with your political agenda to solve our problems cares any less or is any less.
I never said you cared less.
Well, let me
Tom,
finish
I don't think you cared less, nor do I think the men in the NRA cared less. I simply said, and the women, I simply said, why can there not be a compromise on the issue?
There is a compromise.
What?
There's a compromise in enforcing laws. There's a compromise in not allowing kids with guns in school. The problem is, and what you don't seem to realize, you seem to have some sort of, look, we all hang out with people we agree with, and you have a very one-sided view of the fact. What you don't understand There's laws that
as does the NRA, and the people you hang out with in the NRA have a one-sided view as well.
I don't hang out with people in the NRA.
Okay, well, you're saying I hang out with people with my views. I'm just saying.
I said people tend.
We all tend to. The NRA does, and the un-NRA does.
The un-NRA. That's my favorite thing she said.
Interrupting me. Remember how civil you said we were going to be?
I let you talk for 4 minutes without saying one thing. I did. I didn't say one thing. I simply asked a question about what their philosophies are, and you don't want to.
I told you. When do you want to get to television and violence?
I agree.
Game shows.
I agree. Game shows.
And how do you reconcile?
You mean video games? I agree.
Please let me finish. Let me just say one thing. What you're really talking about, and at least what I'm talking about, is are we a responsible enough society in terms of television, in terms of guns, in terms of everything else, to be this free? That should frame the debate. My answer, unfortunately, in this culture is probably not, but I'm going to go down with the civil liberties ship in all the Bill of Rights and apply them equally. That's the way I feel. You can ask me specific questions about anything, but it's simply stupid political rhetoric.
Well, it's not stupid political rhetoric, but he also has freedom of speech, but you're not allowed to scream fire in a crowded movie theater because it threatens the safety of other people. Assault weapons threaten the safety of other people. There's no reason, in my opinion, to have them. You want to have a hunting rifle? Great. You want to have a handgun?
Do you really think the Second Amendment is in the Constitution to guarantee hunting and target shooting? Do you really think that's what the Founding Fathers
I think the Second Amendment is in the Constitution so that we can have muskets when the British people come over in 1800. I don't think it's in the Constitution to have assault weapons in the year 2000. But I'm wrong, I guess. This is the problem. Here's what happens. The people with opposing views, there is no compromise because you feel attacked, I feel attacked. You feel misunderstood.
I haven't attacked you.
Well, I think that
I'm going to stop it.
I disagreed with you.
I'm going to stop.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Oh,
no.
That gets rough to watch, but I remember as a kid this thing happening because kind of just saying Rosie was a refuge, it was koosh balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when Columbine happened, and again, I think our modern audience, contemporary audience, might not understand that when that happened, yes, there might have been violence in schools before that. It was not, we can try to find the source, but that was culturally the moment where I feel like we all had to grow up. It wasn't even it's no more koosh balls, now death, and it's inflicted upon you, and there's nothing you can do. You're never safe, nowhere you go. And I think Rosie felt that culturally, and it was we have to stop this. I see this is and that means having these conversations. And what Rosie did was she pierced the veil, and that was when Tom Selleck was I thought we were just here to talk about things, or
What do you mean? I have political opinions and they matter suddenly? Yeah.
And this is where Rosie understood her platform and the importance of her words, and even Tom Selleck's words, that in that moment she could have saved the world, because Tom Selleck could be you know what, I agree, no more assault rifles, and then that would have been news, and everything could have been solved. And I think that's I was listening to a recent interview with Rosie, Nicole Wallace, I think Good People, I forget something, it's a good podcast, it's Rosie's latest interview, but she's honest. She goes, I realized that world events really shake me up, and that was the moment where it's oh my gosh, when big things happen, it's I react and I have to protect and I have to, and she's that's why she left. I need to protect my peace. I know what is going to happen. She saw Minneapolis and she was I have to protect my peace. I have to be here for my children. I need to, and God bless Rosie, because she knows that Rosie for president, bring her back, because we could do that, people. That is our right, that is our power, and I'm starting now. Rosie for president, 2028. Get her back.
So that the talk show ended in 1999 for her. Her talk show ended. Do you know that date?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt like a flash. It was here and gone, when you really think about it, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important, we won't talk a whole lot about Ellen, but then, in the background of all of this, Ellen has already come out by the end of her talk show. But before we get into the The View, which happens later, we're gonna dive a little bit into her films. So top 3 Rosie O'Donnell films for you.
Now and Then.
Mm.
Roberta, right? Like I was like, I look back, I was like, Christina Ricci and Rosie O'Donnell, what a pairing! That's like, you thought Yellow Jackets was cool, This was the original Yellow Jackets, but like wholesome and loving and like sisters, right?
I have never heard anybody say that, and yet it also makes sense. It is. They're telling the story. Yep.
I got my girl Betty Rubble, Flintstones. And then this is a hard one because I didn't I recognize Harriet the Spy as iconography, but for me that was right at like that turning point where I'm an adult now. I have to watch Jerry Springer. I'm sorry, I don't have time for your orange VHS tape. Okay, there are important things happening on Jenny Jones.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, the third one is I'm gonna go with those two, but third, I'm gonna let the conversation.
It's fine. I'll pick up your slack. My 1 and 2 are A League of Their Own and Harriet the Spy. So, those are it for me.
Oh, so that's our Mount Rushmore now is Now and Then, Flintstones, A League of Their Own, and what's the fourth one? You just said it.
Harriet the Spy.
Again, I don't know this one.
I think that's it, and I think that's appropriate for the ages that were around the time. Yeah. I am literally wearing, actually this shirt is from the TV show, but yes, I'm wearing my Rockford Peaches t-shirt today. I loved A League of Their Own. I never once liked baseball, and I still don't like baseball, but I love A League of Their Own.
Oh, that just it's my Sandlot, I guess what you could say is because I think for me A League of Their Own, the disconnect was that it was all girls, and as a young boy, I was definitely more of a Sandlot kid where I'm like, oh, this is a baseball thing, but it's all boys, and I can understand this fraternity brotherhood. So for me, A League of Their Own, no, I recognize the iconography and Madonna and Rosie.
I'm pretty sure they're lovers, or at least Rosie's character wants to be with me. That's my headcanon. I can't shake it.
Of course, no, absolutely. And the thing is, again, from what I know, I've not fully watched this movie, but just again, I studied the ancient texts. I just haven't seen them in person. But I think Rosie and Madonna, because the kind of the lore that I've discovered about this is this was Rosie's big break. You might be Madonna's best friend, and and so that she's and I think that's why she respects Madonna, because Madonna's just a girl next door, Rosie's just a girl next door, and so you can really see that. And again, we're talking about acting. Rosie is a theater kid full and through, because in this role, League of Their Own, Rosie is herself. Rosie's not even acting. That's the secret.
I love. Yeah. I do want to interject for those of you that have seen it. Speaking of Rosie just being herself, the infamous boss monologue where she's like, all my life I've felt different, and this is the one place where I felt like I could be myself, and I felt like an outsider. Penny Marshall came to her after the first take and said, "Do that less gay." And Rosie's like, "What do you mean? That's a coming out speech." It's peak. It's peak. It's delivered so well. I don't know if it's less gay than it was the first take. If it was, okay. I want to see the first take so bad. I want to see the real gay version.
Okay, so this is maybe just my conspiracy theory where I'm just why? Because I heard that too. Why would Penny say that? I think Penny also wanted some plausible deniability, oh yeah, Rosie's coming out speech. She goes, no, it's not. I told her to do it less gay. And I think that's her protecting her friend. I think it's her being oh, Rosie, you're not again. She knows Rosie's not acting. She goes, I know that you are. This is amazing. This is you being yourself. I need you to do it less gay because this is acting. I think that's I'm thinking what does it mean to be character? No, that's Penny just being there for her friend, being Rosie was beautiful. It was too sacred. I gotta pull it back. You gotta do it less gay for sure. For I think Penny, for me to put it out there, it has to be there needs to be some distance. So yeah, oh god, these legends, these saints working overtime.
And I mean I probably watch that movie once a year for my whole life, so I know it pretty well. But I recently rewatched it again, really just kind of focusing on just how Rosie and Madonna hold their bodies towards each other. And even when they're like dancing, they're at a dance hall and they're with guys, the way that like Rosie's body is turned to watch Madonna, and I'm just like, this is beautiful and heartbreaking. And you're absolutely right that Penny Marshall knew what she was doing. Yeah. Like Penny Marshall is like, there's some queer yearning here, but we're never gonna say it out loud. We're just gonna be subtle about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's, part of why Rosie's like never to talk about it. And again, I think Rosie is that girl next door where it's, the people you love, you understand and you protect and you keep secrets. You don't tell everybody everything. And I think Madonna knows that also. And so I think that's why, like, their contemporaries in this movie hits is because, oh no, those are our friends. Those are our people. Like, just kind of showing, like, they said it in the 20s, so there's this, like, there's a distance again where it's like, this is how they just are, but they just look silly in their baseball uniforms, I think that's what good art does, is it, makes it easy for kids to watch and be like, hey, I'm just like her, like...
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, Penny Marshall, okay, I could make a whole episode just exploring the way that the movie presents gender and the parallels between what was happening in the 90s and what culture, we missed the golden era of the 20s and the 50s and the 40s, and that, like, just kind of breaking that down is like, that's not really what gender ever was, like. And the real history behind the league, I know so much stuff. That's a different episode.
One of many. I think a Madonna episode, we could just start from there. I think all those could be covered in a Madonna episode. But anyways, back to Rosie O'Donnell, Madonna's best friend.
Yeah, I mean, Rosie O'Donnell is a likable person. She has quite a entourage of celebrities in the 90s, and they all know she's it's an open secret.
It's such an open secret, thinking being a kid and going to, like, the grocery store line, and there was, like, the National Enquirers, and it was, they was just common knowledge that Rosie was gay. I'm like, and again, always kind of just like the butt of men's jokes. Like, this is something that, like, was deep and just kind of ingrained in culture. Like, I just like, I'm like, I hate to use the word, but I just remember, like, oh, Rosie's a dyke. I'm gonna say, but that was what people said. Like, that was like something my uncle probably said, because, that's people knew, people talked, the gossip got around, and I remember, like, again, you had, her A League of Their Own, where it's like kids could be like, oh, I'm just like Rosie. I don't fit in. I don't belong. And people who are threatened by that will absorb that and be like, pick on that kid. Like, that's just what happens. And, but yeah, no, even before, like, Rosie was gay, I knew she was different. I knew she was like me. And again, going with the Ellen went on Rosie and was even joked about. They find out in the show that, that Ellen is Lebanese, and because she's eating baklava and hummus, and Rosie's like, you know what? I think I'm a little Lebanese too. And so everyone's laughing, and I just remember being a kid and being like, yeah, because she's a lesbian. This is so obvious. Like, it's like, but yeah, because I was like, I'm just like, she's not pulling over me, but I think it's funny. Like, I understand the humor in it, and like. Yeah, where there's like, you still had to be protective of it, but you could joke about it. So I don't know. It's just, gosh, Rosie.
So I don't actually know. She left the show. What happened with the end of the first Rosie O'Donnell talk show? Did the network cancel it?
She just ended it. She was done. She was just like, I can't really, like, I've kind of done everything that I needed to do. Like, I've had so much fun, and. Yeah, I think it was,
She wanted to be more political, maybe, too, because that all would have been post-Columbine, too, so.
Well, yeah, I think, and that was the thing. There was kind of, like, I think Rosie, and so what Rosie was, say, up until Tom Selleck, was that refuge, that place, Koosh Ball, Broadway, kids, everyday people. Like, remember, it was always like, I'm John Paul from Omaha, Nebraska, and this is the Rosie O'Donnell Show. And she'd come out, and I remember that I was saying, there's another. Yeah, I do a lot of podcast research, right? So if I ever say something's on another podcast, it's because we're all friends with Rosie. But in this one, this person was just like, Rosie's like, "Oh, you have a great voice. Do you sing?" He's like, "Yeah, a little." And she's like, "Can you sing me something?" He's like, "What do you want me to sing?" And she's like, "How about a little in sync?" He's like, "Ain't no lie, bye bye bye." And it was like the crowd went wild, but it was just like Rosie like giving everybody like this random chance to just. And I think Ellen took that. Ellen was like, "Oh,
yes, yes." We talked about Ellen. Yeah. There's a lot of things I think that talk shows still do that. Rosie,
and so okay, and so this we're thinking about like these talk show formats, right? And so Rosie said she was I want to be like Merv Griffin. I'm not going to be like Jenny Jones. I'm not going to do that daytime stuff because again, at this time, the mainstream media was just like, well, what will people watch? What brings in the most money? And so that's why they were pushing her to do one of those. And then when Rosie left, when Rosie was like, "I'm done," and I remember like being like aware of this and be like, "Oh, so he's got a different lesbian." So they were like, yeah. That was, I think, even just like I think we joked about that, where it's like even just as like teenagers, where it's just like, well, Rosie did it first. Ellen's just copying Rosie, but also Ellen's great. So we were like, I think it totally passed our test of just like what was appropriate, what like appealed to us. Like, okay, well, Ellen, and I think. Ellen really Ellen just like she collects the dust and it's like, okay, well,
right. And I don't know if it because I remember to be honest, I do remember a few moments in high school where I felt like I couldn't defend Rosie, and I don't remember why. And I think it's obviously like the narrative around her shifted while she was on The View, and it's because she was loud. Because she was vocal about her opinions and talking about them more. Whereas, like, Ellen was just Ellen, right? In 2003, 2004, when we were, late years in high school.
I think Rosie definitely, she was starting to get backlash, and she even knew this if you go to like her Elizabeth Hasselbeck iconic argument. She even says, she goes, "I'm not going to do this because you know what they're going to say about me, that I'm just a big angry lesbian," and because she understands the weight of her image. Oh my god, see, that's not a fat joke. Like, and so she understands that no matter, she is built to this like status that the only way that people feel that they can get back at her is by making fun of her. And so I think she's so self-aware and she understands that, and I think she wants to respect the title she holds, right? And so, but I think as a kid, like, so as teenagers, as we're like figuring out our sexuality, like Ellen was definitely that palatable version of what we could aspire to be. Where Rosie, like, she was too much. Like, you don't want to be like Rosie because then you're just a loud lesbian, like that's, I've been thinking about like, that's why we didn't, like, for me, I think why I stopped talking about Betty Rubble, because Betty Rubble, like, no one likes it when she comes around, like, but I love Betty Rubble, and I'm sorry, and I was a kid.
The View was an interesting time in her life because she came out publicly before The View started, and so she was already, at that point, she was no longer the rumored lesbian, she was the out and loud lesbian. And then at that point in time, everything that she said, every opinion that she had was scrutinized, because unlike Ellen, who didn't have opinions, who wasn't political, Rosie, the entire point of The View, Rosie was there to be the left-leaning person. Joy. I said Joy first, and then I corrected myself because I was like, that doesn't sound right. Joy Behar, had really also leaned that way. But I think once Rosie leaves, Joy leans further that way because the void is, open, right? And they need that. They lean on that. And of course, somebody who not just says things to talk about things, but really truly means them and really truly wants to change the world with her words it's gonna feel the weight of those conversations on her. Like, oh, even just saying that sentence, I'm like, I feel you, Rosie. Like, when I get into arguments with people, my whole heart and body hurt from arguing about it. Like, I can't imagine doing that professionally. Like,
yeah, you know, and I think even going back to, you know, when she was approached to be Madonna's best friend, right? I think she understands her talent can lead her to places, and if people are going to put her in that place, I think she feels that moral responsibility to hold that space, you know, with conviction, you know. And I think that's something that I think she may not have been aware about, that she was, you know, passing on to younger gay kids and queer kids. It's just like, oh, it's okay to have convictions. It's okay to be strong. And I think the country picked up on that. But then, yeah, she was put in this, like, she was on The View to be that part. And I think she can act it, and she can be fun. And if we're going to, she might have been like, you know, I'm like, she was, Tom Cruise was her key patootie. Like, maybe if she was like a lesbian, she might be like, oh, Dakota Fanning, key patootie. You know, maybe she, you know, like, maybe she was like, I could do that. I could be, you know, your, and so this is, kind of connects to her working with like queer as folk and like being in like community. And so I think this was also the time where she's like, I have this, you know, very visible platform, but I am also actually in community. I am working like in these shows and with these actors. So I think that's why Rosie is a star, because she can hold multitudes, you know?
I swear I've seen Queer as Folk. I don't remember Rosie O'Donnell on it. I thought I saw every episode. Maybe I just don't remember the Rosie episodes. I don't know.
It's a Mandela effect. Because we ended in a good timeline where Rosie isn't, because it's same. Well, I think Queer as Folk came at it when I was at a certain age where I just felt like, I remember watching it in your basement. I was like, I'm kind of uncomfortable with this. Like, it's like, it's very, like, these are my friends. I don't want to, like, you know. So I think. Well,
and I think part of it too, I think why as teenagers and young adults the L word was more captivating is because the Queer as Folk was like sexy, but then still kind of tried to have like a moral of the story, and the L word had no morals. Like, you know, it was like fun and like exciting and just a good soap opera. The L word was a flawed, retrospectively, but at the time, a good, fun, trashy, sexy show. And Queer as Folk, like, they had trashy moments, but then they had like this.
It was a heaviness where I'm just like, well, I don't want to watch it. I'm okay with like having the experience. I can identify with the experience, but I don't want to watch these things sometimes. And so I think that when I think about like, you know, especially for entertainment, what like the queer experience, I'm like, give me the candy. I'm gonna like, I got enough real stuff, you know. But everyone needs everything, and not everyone's me.
Yeah, so. And that's an age thing too. I mean, you need different things at different time in your life for sure. So. But yeah, she was on that. She also, when did she do the LGBTQ family cruises? When was that? That was after The View?
That was kind of just like right after this era of you know, like community solidarity. So I think it just like naturally grew into that. I think she's probably just like, you know, it'd be fun if I took everyone on a cruise. You know, I think she's very much just. She doesn't do things to like for capital gain. I think is something that like Rosie really emulates, is like, it's just about fun. It's about experiences, and sometimes the experiences is over. So it's not like, and now Rosie has the largest gay family cruise in America, and Disney and Rosie present gay cruise. Like Rosie, like she understood that. You know, like things come to a natural conclusion because that's what's fun and like great. And so yeah, her family cruises I think came after that. But yeah, I remember again, like there was like, it's just when she was like, okay, so it's like, not to compare her to Ellen, because we shouldn't compare visible lesbians to each other. However, when you're icon status, that is something that we must do. So I think Ellen was claiming all this mainstream, I think, gay like attention. I'm not even going to say that it's like, you know, that she was actively working in solidarity with the community. She was just getting the gay attention. Where Rosie was actually working in community, building solidarity, taking families on cruises. You know, like really like looking at policy and like how do laws affect gay people. And I think that's why there is this like, oh, let's elevate Rosie because she's the one who's really there for us. Where it's like, and Ellen's just doing her own thing. Wow, like that's we're not even like we're not even involved.
Yeah, and that switch, like I would say for me, that switch, like high school, I'm still like Ellen's pretty cool. College, I'm learning more about the world, and I'm still like I'm learning that I'm learning more about capitalism, and Ellen is just doing Ellen and making more money. And as Ellen skyrockets, my interest in Ellen and what she's doing as a person nosedives. Her her net worth is conversely related to my interest in Ellen as a person. And Rosie, you can see even when she's like doing things and she's working because she's an actor, she's making money, she's doing these shows to make money because that's her career. She still is conscious about what she does and how it reflects the community and why it's important, right? Like through every cameo and small movie she does through the late teens, or through the late 2000s and early teens. For sure.
Yeah, because I think I go back to Rosie is a theater kid. She's just working. She's doing the thing that she wants to do, and that is just to act and to have fun. And I think Rosie realized she was like a superstar, and she's shown really bright. And I think she was like okay with that and content with that. And at the end of the day, just wants to have fun. Like I was like, wouldn't that be? Oh, what a great career! She was on Will and Grace, so she just kind of like was able to just do these different these projects and opportunities, like, and not because she wanted a big fat paycheck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was Jack's ex-wife. No, were those characters married? I don't remember, but she's Jack's son's mother. So that's
okay.
It's so funny to me.
Again,
and he has a hard time accepting that she's a lesbian. That is like one of my favorite episodes of Will and Grace. I don't have a whole lot of episodes of Will and Grace that I would call my favorite, but that whole thing is so funny.
Like, that was culture at the moment. So for me, how to define what was for the culture is when it's like, oh, there are these like little signal moments of just like, oh, like I remember when this is queer solidarity. This is, of course, like they came together and they had a baby. That's cosmology, So yeah, that was like gay rights there.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of lose track of Rosie for a while in the 2010s until she becomes a part of the L Word reboot and also has an amazing role on the League of Their Own TV show, which just is so cool. She can't play the same character because she's not of softball league playing age at this time. And what she does is she is the owner of her character is the owner of a bar that is a secret underground gay bar. And Rosie's just so cool. Like it's just like this secret speakeasy for the queer ladies, and it's
like I can just imagine being a young queer kid, and then like because when you don't have that representation in your real life, these are your escapes. And so it's like, oh, like I watch Rosie as my bartender. That's my dream bartender. When I am in a dark spot, I'm going to the bar where the bar that Rosie owns, and so that's just it warms my heart, makes me want to watch it because I have not seen that one either.
You should. It's very lesbian. Don't let it fool you. A League of Their Own, the TV show.
I don't think it could fool me, baby.
No, there were so many. Okay, I had multiple straight women in my life, mother-in-law, mother, who were like, this is different. I was like, yeah, I think it's actually a little more realistic to what was going on in the league. And they were like, oh, Abby Jacobson.
Abby Jacobson. Oh, yeah. Like, well, yeah, no, she's brilliant. Like one of Rosie's kids, and yeah, no, that's so yeah. Okay,
do you want to lead the conversation about Rosie's history with Trump, where it started?
Okay. So this is great because it takes us right back to The View. And so yeah, at this, so I just watched the moment, what is it, the timeline split, the Nexus Fulcrum event where it's like, oh, this is what started it. And you remember watching it like as a kid. So yeah, Rosie's on The View. Elizabeth Hasselbeck's on this era. This is 2006, right? So this is peak, Rosie just being Rosie. And at this time, there was a whole controversy with like Trump and the Miss USA because so at this time, Trump was running just Miss USA. That was his thing. And the current Miss USA, and again, it's not Miss America. It's different, and that's part of what Rosie wanted to make everyone knew. Was that Miss USA was out partying and like the gay got found out, and so then she had to do like a public apology, and Trump was there, and it's very much just like, I'm gonna have to maybe punish her. I don't know what should we do, America? That's Miss USA. She was partying. That's not very ladylike, So again, this is kind of the scenario. Right? And so Rosie gets on TV and she's essentially like, this is bullshit. Like, who is this guy to tell any woman how to act, how to behave? She's not like, this isn't Miss America. She's not like, she's like, that's a pageant where it's like they got to do things. She goes, that's just Miss USA is a swimsuit competition. Like, she was drawing lines between like the responsibilities of the office, right?
The level of decorum expected from the various pageants. Yeah.
And so like, because Rosie, she was really good at seeing asymmetrical power. She was like, oh, actually, like, you don't have to listen to him. You're not held to this responsibility that you can't go out and have fun. You can go out and have fun. And so one of my favorite things I took from this, and so this is where Rosie, so this like pisses Trump off. Like, this is like, and like Rosie even said, like, he doesn't like me because I'm just that girl from the girl next door that tells him I don't put up with this shit. Got his dumb hair, got all flipped around. I'm Donald Trump. My daddy gave me everything I have. Like, she roasts him, and she is 100% correct. Like, this is 2006, and oh my god, what's even more insane? So Rosie's like, he's a snake oil salesman, and then the chyron at the bottom is, up next, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Like, I died. I was like, oh my god, this was 20 years ago, right? And so, again, Rosie is like, she is the divine light. She knows the truth, and her very closing, she's like, you know what? Sit and spin, my friend. Like, that's how she, and like, I remember, and I was saying that time. I was like, sit and spin, my friend, sit and spin. So just watching that today, like, it just recharged me, because like, that was like the ultimate, just like, Rosie just dropped a whole new like curse word that I had never heard. Sit and spin, my friend. And so then from that moment, Donald Trump is just like, I'm going to like make you my own personal punching bag. And I don't think Rosie wanted that. I don't think Rosie was like, oh, I'm ready to fight this man for the rest of my life.
Rest of my life, literally, yeah.
Yeah, but like, Rosie now also understands. She goes, oh yeah, I punched him hard, and that's that girl from A League of Their Own. That's what she did. That girl is who punched Donald Trump and got us where we are today. So on the Gay2k timeline, for
better or worse, that
Rosie threw the first punch. But Rosie wins in the end. So just hang tight, everyone.
Oh man. Oh, I don't even know.
Well, because like, that just kind of just sets it off, like, because now Rosie's in Ireland, and again, this is not to compare two powerful lesbians to each other, but both of our daytime talk show comedian lesbians that children adored currently don't live in this country. For Rosie,
they have fled for very different
reasons. Rosie, as she says it, she's like, I can't be in America or people want to ask me my opinion about what's going on. I am going to be there. Rosie would be in Minneapolis. She would be like on the front lines, and she realized, like, I can't do that. I gotta get out of here. And I don't think she's afraid. She even said, everyone's like, well, what if he takes away your citizenship? And she goes, if he takes away my citizenship, then there is no longer a country. And that is even worse, you know? And so, like, because, I think people are capitulating. People are capitulating to power to be like, well, what if he just did this? Would you still be mad? Like, no. She's like, it's over. If that happens, it's over.
Yeah, and, you can't just rebuke citizenship from,
and so, I think it's very smart. Again, Rosie, thank you for protecting your peace. We need you to just relax, please. Cool down a little bit, okay? Our other friend probably fled for, like, criminal reasons. Probably.
Yeah. We don't know. But either way, they both fled so they didn't have to answer questions. That we can say they have in common as well. They didn't want to be asked the questions.
And everyone has their right to do however they please, but just know that Rosie, she's doing it for us. She's getting better.
Is there something we missed along the way? I feel like I jumped, but I don't know. Do we need to say more about The View?
No, I don't. I mean, like, I don't really want to center this on her arguments with Elizabeth Hasselbeck. If you don't know Elizabeth Hasselbeck, so here's where it all, like, again, Rosie, okay. Early 2000s, Rosie's queen of TV. She even hosts, like, the Survivor season 4 finales. She's everywhere, and she's like a big Survivor fan. When she loves something, she loves it. And season 2, Survivor Australia, was the Australian Outback, and one of the final 4 contestants was Elizabeth Filarski. Okay, and so she is this time like America's sweetheart, because we gotta, like, every season of Survivor needs a sweetheart. And and so she's kind of like, you know, Hollywood's jockeying, like, can we make these people celebrities? And she was one of them. And, like, I think she even went on the Rosie show, and, like, they bantered, they hung out, like, Rosie, like, so they've had a prior relationship. So after Survivor, Elizabeth Filarski, she marries her boyfriend at the time, forget his first name, Hasselbeck, right? He's a football player. So Elizabeth Hasselbeck is born. And at this time, Rosie is, and so this is where I'm just like, this was probably manufactured, where, like, oh, let's take someone that Rosie actually has a prior relationship with, and let's have her be an adversary, so Rosie will tell it like it is, right? And that's what happened. That's how Elizabeth Hasselbeck got the job, is because, but, you know, actually, maybe, I don't know, Elizabeth might have got it before Rosie. I don't know this timeline. I don't know who begat who on The View. Because there's Anyways, this is more of a View deep dive, but just know that there was a prior relationship, and Rosie was a fan. Rosie was like, "Oh, you're on Survivor, you're killing it!" Like, and so I don't know what their personal relationship is.
I think it's important to point that out, though, because Rosie isn't, at that point in time in the early 2000s, she doesn't need to work with people that she doesn't respect, and I think it is important to, and that matters to her. And so working with these women, I think she wanted to know what they were about, and I think she did probably, like, oh yeah, that girl from Survivor, I love Survivor. Yeah, absolutely, that's going to play into it for Rosie. And I mean, everything that I've read, everything that I've heard is like, the production was leaning on them to continue to have this conversation, because Rosie made an offhand comment about the situation in Iraq, and it was interpreted by, I'm guessing, Fox News, though they didn't specifically say Fox News, as Rosie O'Donnell not supporting the troops. And the production leaned into Hasselbeck to dig into her about that. And then they are arguing about what American troops are doing in Iraq, and Rosie's talking about civilian lives and how that matters, and the other co-hosts are trying to steer the conversation away, and it's not cutting to commercial. The network isn't letting it cut to commercial. Multiple times Sherry is like, and up next we have blah 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 blah, and then it just keeps going. And then even further into it, they split screen them instead of cutting back and forth, because this was live on The View. They split screen them so you can see Rosie and Hasselbeck the whole time, and they continue to have this debate, and there is no clean end. Like at the end, there isn't oh, okay, we've talked this out. No, it is contentious all the way through. Like it's rough for sure.
Oh my god. And this is where, like, again, thinking about, like, you know, media and message, I'm like, oh yeah, that was on purpose. They were punishing Rosie for having an independent thought. And I think, you know, again, when Rosie knows the weight of responsibility that she has to, you know, speak to the people, and she's in front of millions of people, but they just want her to shut up and talk about Tickle Me Elmo. They're like, can you please just talk about the dancing toy? And she won't. And I think and so I think this was kind of like, maybe, you know, and the thing is, like, I don't know what happens in government, and I shouldn't even talk about what they do. But when you have these giant broadcast networks, and it could be like, oh yeah, we're going to cut your funding from this. You know, we see this is what Trump is doing. Trump is doing things that people could do coercively. They could suggest, like, hey, you might not want to have Rosie on ABC anymore. You know, or you might want to, it would really make us happy if you embarrass her in front of everyone, make her answer for what she says. And that's what that was. And that's why I was like, oh, you know, and so, like,
right.
Oh, poor and, like, you know, I think the psychic energy that manifested and how she had, like, that was traumatic, you know. And so I think, wow, like, God, Rosie, don't back down from a fight, though. Okay, no. She can go next round. Let's go another round. Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
And I bring that up because Hasselbeck was on The View again recently. I don't know how recently. I don't know. Sometime in the last, let's say, 5 years. And Rosie from Ireland was on TikTok just giving a little review. She didn't say anything horrible, but, like, it was like a 30-second, like, oh, like, you know, oh, she's back with the sticky notes. Of course, those sticky notes. And that's, like, really all Rosie said about the whole Hasselbeck thing. But then, of course, instantly the entire world is like, Rosie, you know, agitates Hasselbeck on TikTok. And it's just like, is that what happened? I don't know.
Oh, you know, I would love if my girlies were just, like, secretly like, okay, I'm gonna, like, call out your sticky notes just for a joke. You know, like, you need some views, girl, I got your views, you know. And, like, because you know, like, I don't think Rosie comes from a place of, like, malice. No. You know, I think so. Like, if she said it, it's not like, well, that's something. It's not like I wouldn't tell her that. Oh, you got your post-it notes back. You know. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's people want her to be. It's like the world and perhaps the president has wanted to put her in this box of angry, disgruntled lesbian, and she literally had to flee the country to escape that box. And they're still like, here's your box. You forgot your box. Come back.
It's the burden of being a theater kid. Once you land the perfect role, you have to play it for the rest of your life. And so that's why we need Doris back. That was her character, right? That's the energy that this country needs, because it exists. It's here, you know?
Yeah.
Rosie. What's the good thing about this episode, unlike the other one, there are absolutely no trigger warnings. There's no second
there's no second part where
there's no deep dive. There's no, like, uncomfortable conversations. I couldn't find any. No. I really like
there's no dirt that we know.
And there's no, like, yeah, where I think, and when you think about things like gossips and rumor in your National Enquirer stories, like, there could be a kernel of truth and, like, something may sprout, but if you're looking at Ella, you're finding a whole forest of, like, ugh. You know? Now with Rosie. You want to know what I did? You want to know what I did find of Rosie's, though?
Yeah.
I went to the thrift store, and I found this Rosie ornament from the show.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
They have it backwards in the box, but yeah. And so this felt very like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Rosie O'Donnell, I'm gonna put you on my tree. So yeah, found it at the thrift store the other day.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Well,
there it is.
We love you, Rosie.
Love you, Rosie. Come on the pod. She will. She, like, loves talking to fans, and I didn't like Betty Rubble. Like, I would be like, like,
yeah, I don't.
Like,
Okay, yes, Rosie, come on the pod. Even though I would be incredibly overwhelmed, but I would be very, very happy to have you.
I'm like, what are we doing now, Mom? Where do you want to? Mom, can you take us somewhere? Like, Mom, do you want to go for ice cream? That's how I feel. So,
I did. I was on the TikTok and I was watching a live battle, and she was randomly invited, and she was there, and I was like, oh wow. So. I mean, it's worth shooting our shot. We might as well.
Okay, but we got let's let me spruce up my place before she comes over. Okay? Give me some time. Can we just because she will show up, and I'm like, I'm not. This isn't what I want it to be right yet. So
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John Paul, for your insight. Just geeking out about Rosie with me for sure.
Yeah, Rosie.